up until the second half of Tom Brady's career, as a bitter Jets fan, I always had a problem with Brady because he was never a regular season guy either. He was not the guy winning MVP. He didn't win any MVP until Randy Moss came to town, right? 10 years into his career. And he wasn't the guy who threw touchdown passes either. Like, the first half of his career was very mediocre. Peyton Manning had won 3 or 4 MVPs, right? Brady wasn't throwing stats. But when it came to the Super Bowl and the championship, and when it came to playoff games, Brady made big-time plays, right? Big-time moments, big-time plays. Brady goes on to, get every record there is, whether it's passing touchdowns, passing yards, wins, everything, but where Jeter doesn't have those things. But the point of this is that big players making big plays in big moments on big franchises are going to result in big money for your cards.
But so both Tom Brady and Derek Jeter made dynasties with these top 5 sports markets in the world. I just wanted to know what it looks like. Let's say if Derek Jeter played for the Giants and they won 3 in a row and Derek Jeter was there for 20 years, I don't think he would be as big as he was if he's on the Yankees.
Well, this is a good question to ask because we could argue right now that the Kansas City Chiefs were not a highly collectible team.
No.
Until Patrick Mahomes comes to town, Andy Reid paired with him, they turn the franchise around, they win 3 championships in 5 years or whatever it is, they've been to 5 of 6. Now they're a dynasty. The Chiefs are now a dynasty of the last 10 years, last 5 years, whatever you want to call it. And by the way, there's no reason they can't win more championships, more Super Bowls. So I think that generational players can turn a smaller market into a more collectible team, but you've got to have a Tom Brady or a Alex Rodriguez or a Barry Bonds or a Patrick Mahomes in order to turn your city around.
So we're looking at all these big players on big teams. Like, I want to look at the big players on small teams. I was watching a podcast the other day, LeBron and Steve Nash together, and looking back, Steve Nash is one of the most efficient basketball players of all time, a back-to-back MVP, has won a ton of playoff games but never won at all. If Steve Nash happened to be on let's say the Miami Heat or the New York Knicks or like one of the big teams or the Chicago Bulls, I think we'd be looking back and calling Steve Nash a top 20 player with a good market of collecting inside of him. Like, I see Patrick Ewing cards sell for a lot. I see other players on big teams sell for a lot when they're not even as good as, like, let's look at Tim Duncan. He's on the Spurs. We talked about it last week. He's not selling for what he should be, even though he's a 5-time champion.
Well, and like, there should be no comparison to Tim Duncan and Patrick Ewing, right? Like,
None.
Pat Ewing never won a championship. This is coming from a Knicks fan. Tim Duncan is elite in comparison to Patrick Ewing. His card prices should be astronomical. I mean, at minimum, 5x the price, right? Because he's got 5 championships. Ewing has none. So I think because you're in a big city, New York, LA, whatever it may be, Miami, the population size is bigger. Listen, this is just supply and demand, right? Like, there's more people who demand the card, and there's whatever the supply is the supply, right? But there are these transcendent players like a Patrick Mahomes. You brought up Caitlin Clark. Look at Wemby in San Antonio, Caitlin in Indiana. I mean, these players can turn the franchise around, make their franchise into a collectible dynasty, and then I mean, look at the Golden State Warriors. Golden State was a joke in the 90s and the 2000s, absolute joke. When you think about the Warriors now, they're one of the most, by the way, they are one of the most valuable NBA franchises now. Billions and billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
All because Steph Curry, generational player, come to town, change the whole element of the team.
So looking back in the card reasoning behind this, if you're getting veteran players and Hall of Fame players, the teams definitely matter. I don't think it matters as much as prospecting does. So, like, back into baseball, Jesus Made on the Brewers this year was the player I was going after because, sure, he's not on a big famous team, but he could be one day, and he's super talented. The Brewers are known to trade their players to big markets. So if you're going out, like, let's say you're on alt today and you're buying on auctions and you're getting veteran players, don't go after the Portland Trailblazers and Seattle Seahawks players. Go after the big players. But if you're prospecting, I mean, talent will always surpass what market you're on.
Does the team or franchise or city a player is in ever affect the way you buy the card? Like, if you see a guy who's on the Rockies, for example, you're like, I don't know if I want to touch his card because he's on the Rockies.
There's so many times where I'm about to take a player and I know he's about to get traded. Like, let's say he's on a bummy franchise, and I just won't take him because there's a small possibility he'll get traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, prospecting is all cool and all, but when you're on week 4, your second contract comes around, you're on the trading block. It's super dangerous because you can get traded to the wrong place, and you're stuck there. There's no arguing. Once you're sent there, you sign that 5-year deal. You're not leaving for a couple of years. So I'm looking back at the Rockies. Nolan Arenado, we were on the fence calling him a borderline Hall of Famer, one of the best basemen of all time, and I wasn't going to drop money on him because I don't know if he was going to go to the Yankees or if he was going to go to the Houston Astros. Luckily, he went to the middle of the pack Cardinals, which is a great fan base, and did buy a lot of him, but no success has happened there since.
No, and I would also argue that if you went to the Houston Astros, like they're always kind of in playoff and World Series contention. They're kind of a dynasty in the last 10 years too. I think that the allegations of cheating and the scandal have kind of put a dark cloud over them, but like they're constantly in the World Series, in the running. Like you always think Altuve is like on his way out, and he's always like playing well. So
Altuve on any other team is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and no one even wants to buy his cards. We're lucky that Kyle Tucker left to the Cubs, and now we can start building things with the Cubs, or he'll be labeled a cheater his whole career too. Same thing with Bregman, same thing with Correa. So what team you're on definitely matters.
And also to note is that if Luka, one of the biggest stars in the NBA, and maybe he's not a great example because his prices were already high, right? His prices are already high, but he still manages to go up 20% when he gets traded to a big market team like LA. If you're selling that on eBay, mind you, you got to clear 13%. So you're only making 7% on that, right?
Yep.
Now it shows you might be able to haggle a little more, or you're not dealing with percentages, but would you say that if a card is going up roughly 20% on eBay, it's probably going up close to 20% at a card show too?
Yeah, you're definitely netting more at a card show than you are on eBay.
For sure. But I think we would agree that player performance and popularity outweigh the city.
Yeah.
Right? Like when it comes to collecting cards. Like and really I would say player performance is elite over everything else because like we said, if you perform well, you get to the championship. Look what just happened to Halliburton, right? Like his prices went ballistic. SGA prices go ballistic. I don't know if SGA is up 100% or 200% from last summer. He's got to be
close.
Right?
Definitely.
So even a guy like SGA, who people have definitely been collecting SGA for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're realizing his peak price now in real time, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I look at a player's skill set, it will always outweigh what team they're on. Because I think of Ken Griffey and Ichiro and the Mariners scene with Randy Johnson. Like, that's one of the worst markets in sports. People in the northern West Coast don't care about sports and want to invest in that stuff. But Ichiro is still like one of the most sought after players in history. And also, let's look at like ethnicities in sports too. Like if you go look at Pau Gasol in Spain, you look at Steve Nash in Canada, Shea in Canada, like you could be anywhere on any team. But if you have a good ethnic background that follows you, like a fan base that cares about where you're from, like Manu Ginobili, for example, you will always sell. Like Argentinian fans will always buy Manu.
Please like, subscribe, and check out these other videos that we think you might enjoy.